Thank you guys so much. And I just wanted to let you guys know that my name is Chantel Ray, and I started out with a company called Chantel Ray Real Estate. And so everyone's like, wait a minute, you're with Canzel Realty? And so what I did was I changed the name because we're now in 20 states. And so our slogan was, if it has to sell, call Chantel. And it was like, no, we wanted to call Susie or Billy or all the agents that were with us. So in order to scale, we decided to change the name because now it's, if it has to sell, call Canzel. So instead of can sell, it's Canzel. So even my mom's like, I don't like the name. I like Chantel Ray. That's a way better name. But for scaling purposes, that's why we did it. So I'm going to put up a slideshow for you real quick. And my topic today is called How to Double Your Business. And so the first thing that I want to talk to you guys about, no matter what business you're in, you can actually thrive. And I believe this market is changing and changing really fast. And these are the 10 tips that you need to do no matter what business you're in. And so these slides have a lot of really good information. If you want to download them, you can just go to joincanzel.com/free. That was a picture of my family. That's my son and my husband. And actually, my daughter, my husband works for a competing real estate firm. So business in our house is kind of like, we don't even talk about real estate at our house. It's kind of crazy. We have totally separate businesses. So if you want to, whatever business you're in, right, you have to decide if you want to be a prospecting company or a marketing company. So if you want to be a real estate agent or whatever company, you want to say, do we want to get on the phones and dial for dollars, right? Or do we want to do marketing? And I want to talk about you deciding which one you want. So for real estate, for the example, right? If you want to be a prospecting agent, you would do FSBOs, expireds, you do cold calling, you do open houses. But if you want to do marketing, here's where people get it wrong. What happens is they're like, oh, I want to do the marketing aspect of things. But what they do is they do the branding side of things, which branding costs so much money. And what they don't do is they don't do direct response. If you want to be a prospecting whatever business, I geared it a little bit to real estate, but this is for any business, right? You've got to have a lot of tenacity. You've got to have hard work. You've got to be good at prospecting. You've got to teach your team how to do it. You've got to be highly skilled at sales. And the first thing that you have to do, I just listened to a sermon. My son and I our whole family listens to a 20-minute sermon every single night. And I was listening to Stephen Furtick, and he was doing a sermon, and he said something like, you've got to stop mopping up the floor with the leak. You got to figure out where the leak is coming from. I'm going to tell you right now, everyone in this room, I'm going to tell you where your leak's coming from. You're not getting enough leads coming in, and you're not prospecting enough. There you go. That's what it is. But what happens is you start mopping and you start thinking it's all these other problems. I believe the best way to do it is to have a prospecting and marketing side to your business. Both. You need to have both sides of the funnel to make it work. And you need to ask yourself, once you get to the point where you've got so many calls coming in, fine, but you're still spending time on the phone responding, right? So you've got to ask yourself, am I doing 40 calls? Am I doing 40 emails? Am I doing 40 texts each day? What I want you to do right now is I want all of you guys to pull out your phones and type in the contacts. In your contacts, if you go to the contacts tab and you scroll all the way down, you actually will see my phone. If I do it, I have 13,707. You need to up the amount of contacts that you have, and you need to see how many yours are. And one of the things, if you're going to be doing prospecting, you should be saying, okay, a good trick is all right, I'm going to reach out to all the people in my A's on the 1st of May, all the people in my B's on the 2nd of May. The 3rd of May, I'm going to do all my C's, and I'm going to contact. Same thing for Facebook, same thing for Instagram. Nobody really wants to be cold called, right? So even if it's something that you really wanted to buy, you really don't necessarily appreciate the cold call that much. So you've got to figure out what your balance is of prospecting versus marketing. I love people who are prospecting type people. It's not that I don't love it, but you're only as good as your motivation for that day to prospect, right? So it's like if you're not in the mood that day, well, there you go. And if you're counting on referrals for your business, they go up and down. Like sometimes you get a lot, sometimes you don't. So you have to ask yourself, what balance do I need to do? But you've got to either do all one or all the other, or find a balance between them. And if you want to be a marketing agent, whatever you are, what your business is, you've got to have a compelling offer. You've got to have automation in place because response time is got to be 5 minutes or less. You've got to make sure your ads read like a newspaper article in Facebook. So I'm going to show you some examples of that. And I'm going to show you why most marketing doesn't work and how you can get high quality, low cost leads. So first step is no matter what business you're in, you have to have a trackable call to action. And if you're like Budweiser, I have a friend of ours that he's one of the high VPs up at Budweiser, and that company makes so much money. It's unbelievable. We actually have government rules in place. I don't know if you knew this, to control, because if they didn't, there wouldn't be another company out there because they own so many different beer companies and wine companies. I mean, what they own is unbelievable. Not Budweiser itself, but Anheuser-Busch and that whole company. So if you have the money like them, which I don't think any of us in this room do, then you've got to create, like if I was on the marketing team for Budweiser, I'd say do something. Let's say it was Super Bowl time, right? It'd be like Budweiser.com/Super Bowl. And I would do some kind of ad that said 10 tips to throwing the best Super Bowl party ever. And that would be the ad. And then it would be trackable and people would go there, right? So that's what you have to do is figure out how to do that. And your sphere of influence referrals are great, but you want a water faucet because you don't know 90 days from now, you could call someone and say, can you give me a referral? But guess what? They're like, I don't have anyone right now, right? So you've got to have that. And I always say it's not necessarily the best real estate agent or the best loan officer or the best anything. It's actually the one who's best at marketing. And this funnel right here shows that you've got to create something that is a free guide or a free webinar, and then you give them a quote. So it's got to be some kind of no risk, low risk, and then you get them in your funnel, and now we advertise to them. So for real estate, we have free real estate home buyers webinar. We have real estate investing webinars, steps to how to buy a home, 7 steps to list your home, right? You create all of these webinars. We use a company called Webinar Kit. It's actually for $399, you can get it for life. So you pay one time, $399 to have a special right now. You can get it for life or $43 a month. But like here is, so we're now in 20 states. So we're always trying to attract real estate agents to our company. And so we do different things of, our company is really big on passive income. We want to teach people the way our model works is every time you refer an agent, you get money. It's like a, 5-tier system. So if I refer you, you get a portion of it. 85% of our company dollar goes back to our agents in profit share. So we try to create funnels for people who go, yeah, I want to work at a company where I can get passive income and I don't have to work till the rest of my life. And so people who are interested in that are attracted to our company. I could do something like this, right? Like this could be a perfect Facebook ad where I would say like, join us for this free webinar where I can talk to you about marketing and talk to you about leads and how that works. So every one of our agents, here's a guy named Wayne Lewis, and he is an agent with us out in Louisiana, and he gets this, and it's 7 steps to sell your home. And it's a seller guide that has his name, his picture. All of our stuff is all automated. He gets it all automatically for him. But you would post something like he would post, right? Want to know my 7 steps to sell your home faster or for top dollar. And then he would give them that guide, right? And that's opening the door. But here's the thing. It has to have, write these down. If you're listening online, type it in the chat. You have to have an offer. You have to have a reason to respond right now. Like what's their reason of why they need to respond right now? And it has to tell them what to do. I'm going to show you what that means earlier, because a lot of you are like, you don't tell them, people need to be told, do this, right? It's crazy. You need to have tracking and accountability, and you have to have strong copy. And that's what we help people do. One of the things I am big on is events, but I'm very big on low budget events, because people, you can really, if you get people face to face, it is like a 73% more percent chance that you're going to convert them, right? But we used to do all these things. We used to do like a Easter egg hunt, and we used to do all these different events, but they were so time consuming. So if you're going to do an event to attract customers, make it super easy, because what happens is people put on these huge events. They spend so much money. It's so exhausting that they do one and they're done. They're like, I can't do this anymore. This is exhausting. And, I think we should give a big round of applause to Blair, who's put this on. I mean, she's done an exceptional job, but you guys don't realize how much work these kind of things are. So you've got to simplify it. Otherwise, guess what? You won't want to do it again. So like for us, we started doing happy hours. We give them 2 drink tickets or 1 drink ticket, partner with a lender or partner with some people. And you can find places that do happy hours. Like this is one place. Beers are $3. Appetizers are $7 to $10. You split that in half. What does that cost you, right? They're doing all the work. You're inviting them. You've got to have your ROI right, because what happens is you do all these events. It's exhausting you. And now on top of that, you're spending more on doing it than what you're bringing back. I'm going to teach you how to do a squeeze page. If you want to learn how to do this, you can go to joincanzel.com/squeeze. And no matter what business you're in, you can take the ideas of it. So for example, the squeeze page is where you basically what the idea is that you're taking a lot of people and then you're squeezing them down into the people who are ready to buy. That's what a squeeze page is. So for example, let's say I wanted to target buyers who wanted a newly built house. So this ad right here works really well for us. And actually, I usually put the city in it, but we were in a rush and I was just putting a sample. But like, let's say I wanted to target a new buyer in Texas who wanted a house with a pool. I would say these homes with a pool in Texas must sell ASAP. Look how I tell them exactly what to do. Check out the list of available homes by tapping the Learn More button. You tell them exactly what to do. So these are certain examples of, how do I get people who want price reductions? How do I get people who build homes? Whatever, figure out what your target is, and you need to figure out how to send it there and do automation. So I will give you an example. Our CRM that we give our agents is called KD Core. In my opinion, it is the best one out there. It's between $700 and $900 per person. If you bought it on your own, we give it to our agents for free. The best one out there that there is. But you need to find out exactly when somebody, like whatever your dashboard is, you need to see when the last time they visited, because you've got so many clients. You need to be able to see when are they doing, and have some automated follow-up. So we have automated follow-up that goes out, and it's super, super personal. So you can send out campaigns, send out text messages that are super, super, if they are professional, I'm telling you right now, no one's responding. So go through every copy that you have and send it like you were sending it to your best friend. Only way to do it. So for example, here's something that we do for our clients, and you can use that example for any business you have. So what we would do is we would call someone and we would say like, ring, hi Blair. I wanted to see, it's super important for you to know how much your house is worth at a regular basis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set you up on an automated search. Anytime a house goes on the market in your neighborhood, you're going to get an automated email. I'm going to get an automated email, and I'm going to tell you exactly how much this guy's house is worth. And so we can get an idea of what yours is worth. That's an automated thing in place. It reminds me to contact Blair, to contact William, to contact Teresa. So that's the kind of thing that you need to do. And whatever your business is, you have to get a target niche. Let me explain. One of my good friends named Kristen, she used to do grief counseling, marriage counseling, eating disorders, and her business was in the dumps. And I love coaching businesses. It's my favorite thing to do. Any business I've ever coached has gone up 10x, and I just love doing business coaching. I'm starting to do more of it because I just love watching it. Within 2 months, her business went up 300%. And here's what I said to her. I said, out of all those, what do you love doing? Do you love doing anxiety? Do you love doing depression? She said, I love doing marriage. I said, guess what? Then you're going to be marriage counseling of Virginia. See what I'm saying? Or whatever you want to make it. I said, do you ever want to go outside of Virginia? She said, no. I said, then there you go. Marriage counseling of Virginia it is. You see? So, and she changed it a little bit. It's not that, but that's the idea, right? When you can niche down, and everybody doesn't want to do it because they're like, but what if somebody from anxiety calls me? What if somebody from depression calls me? I don't care. You're going to be the marriage counselor. I literally had to do that talk with her over and over. So for real estate, it's like, do you want to focus on luxury? Do you want to be new construction? Do you want to do farms? Pick something that you're really good at and make sure that the promise you make when you reach out to people is a promise kept. Let me ask you this. When you make a promise and you deliver on that promise, what does it build? Trust, right? No, I trust you. I can tell you that if I tell you something, you can take it to the bank. Everyone knows that. I'm good for my word unless I'm death and dying on my bed. And then I'll even call you and text you and say, I'm death and dying right now. I can't do it. But I'm faithful to what I said. The Bible says, let your yes be yes, let your no be no. If you can't do it, just say you can't do it. And you've got to create some automation in your follow-up. I'm going to give you some tips on how to do that. And I will tell you the amount of leads that never get followed up is, I don't even understand it. Literally, these real estate agents, they're like, I need more leads. I need more leads. I need more leads. I'm thinking, I literally looked at one girl. I was like, why? You're not going to follow up with them. And she's like, you're right. Right? But you need to look at yourself and answer that same thing. Why are you going to get more leads if you're not going to follow up with them? And here's what you need to do. Call, email, text, video, email, rinse and repeat. And we have a full department. This is one of our ISAs actually did a video text. The video text is the key. Okay. When you've got your hair and makeup done, guys, when you got your hair done, right, and you're looking all spiff, you do a video text. This video text, one of our ISAs did it. A lot of people think when we respond back, it's still Chantel. So it wasn't actually me doing this. She did a video text and was like, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. Are you still alive? I'd love to talk with you. Can you just reach out and let me know if everything's okay? She said, I'm so sorry. I haven't been ignoring you, blah, blah, blah. Listed the paperwork the next day from a video text. But when your hair and makeup is done, then you just start doing a bunch of them. Hey, just wanted to reach out, blah, 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 or whatever you're going to do. So that way you can send them out. And then your text to be they have to end with a question, number one. And they to be like OMG or add a gift. I'm telling you with the gift, I'm telling you, make a funny gift. Someone will respond. It works every time. But you have to end with a question. It has to be short. It has to be, would I send this text to my best friend? If not, delete. We have one guy, I love him. He's been with us forever. And he has an English accent, but he's so professional, I guess, in England. And I'm like, Kevin, this email. And he's like, okay, and he finally is getting on with it. But I will tell you this, most companies, they take between 47 and 48 hours is the average. The studies have shown of how long it takes to respond. Guess what you need? 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That's it. And if you want to convert leads into sales, timing is everything. You have to respond in 5 minutes. If you don't get something in place where you're doing that, you're losing leads. So for me, I have a personal assistant at home. I have 2 at work. The more help I have, the happier I am. I'm not joking. I'm going to write a book, and my next book is going to be called How to Delegate Everything But Sex. Because my husband literally is like, sometimes you worry me. You delegate everything. I'm like, I'm going to delegate everything but sex. He's like, okay. But here's what we'll do for you. We now have a full-on team in the Philippines. I'm going to tell you right now, the best employees we've ever had in our life. Okay? So amazing. And what it is they are literally, we're paying them $4 an hour. They show up on time. We do it all on Zoom, and we will help you get them. We have a connection. It'll cost you a one-time fee of $1,000. If you're interested in it, go to joincanzel.com/personal assistant. It can be any company. It doesn't matter what company it is. They can help work on it. And if it's in real estate, we give you free training videos on how to train them. So it's like a no-brainer. But you have to get a team of people that are going to help you. If you don't, you might as well. That's the only way to double your business. If you want to double your business, you've got to double your time. And in order for you to double your time, and there's no one in this room that's not going to be able to afford $4 an hour to be able to have someone really help you grow your business. And so they help me with my emails. They make calls for me. They set appointments with top performers. They schedule all of my podcasts. We have a podcast called Real Life Leadership. We have a podcast called Millionaire Real Estate Live. They find guests for those, and so forth. So I'm very happy when I have lots of help. So joincanzel.com/personal assistant. And here's what happens that I've seen. Like, I'll say to someone, why don't you have an assistant? And they're like, well, I had one, and then give me this long sob story of how it went south. And so we have video training. What you should do is when you train someone, you record it on Zoom, do it once. And if that person leaves, now you save it on a website. This is what our training looks like. All of the training is all on site. Just get a basic website. Doesn't have to be tricky. Go to Zoom, hit record, and slap that on a website. Any one of you guys can do it. And so, one thing that you want to make sure is that when you're hiring someone, they are willing to do lots of different things. So that's when you first interview them, that's step one of saying, are you willing to do everything? So I have a little joke for you. So the wife says to the husband, she's like, honey, can you look at the cabinets? They are just not doing good. One of them's falling. And he says to her, do I look like a carpenter? And she's like, okay. So the next day she's like, honey, there's a problem with the kitchen sink. Could you take a look at it? And he's like, what do I look like, a plumber? And then he's like, there's a problem with the car. And he's like, what do I look like, a mechanic? And finally she says, well, guess what? I got everything fixed. So she goes to him and he's like, what do you mean? He's like, I went to the neighbor and the neighbor said, I'll do all of it. And he said, you can either have sex with me or you can bake me a cake. Either one, you choose. And then she responded and said, well, what do I look like, a baker? You get it? I tell that joke to everyone because we tell that to our assistants because what we used to do is we would hire someone and we'd say, you're a transaction coordinator. And then we'd say, you're an onboarding specialist. You are this. And so then that's all they want to do, right? Well, what happens is then when that person's out on vacation, they're like, what do I look like, a commission coordinator? What do I look like, a transaction coordinator? And you're like, So we tell that story right up front and we say, you're going to be this and this and this and this. And if you don't want to do that right up front, you're not the right fit. So, one of the things that I always say is that people, what they say they want, they don't really want. I'll give you an example. We had these agents in Moyock, North Carolina at the time. They were like, we need a space in North Carolina. We need Moyock. And we were like, okay, let's go ahead and get a space. And they were like, we can only recruit agents there if we get a space. So we bought the space, got the location, did everything, right? Took so much time. Guess what? They didn't get any we didn't grow at all in that area because we got that space. We had the same amount. Maybe we got one or two. And then we had all this added overhead. And that's why we made a virtual model where people can use the Regis's, where we have a co-working space. And now that's how we've been able to grow in 20 states, right? Because instead of me doing every time building out a spot and doing all that, that's how you scale. That's how you grow. I'll give you another example. There was a program called Videolicious. I can promise you, every one of you have people that say, oh, we need this, we need that, we need this other thing, right? And what they do is they say, it will distract you like crazy. They'll say, we need this program. We signed a contract for a year. It was like, I don't know, $2,000 a month for everyone to get this program, Videolicious. Then guess what? We got reports of how many people used it, but that's what happens to you every day. Someone comes to you and says, do you know what we need? We need A, B, C, and D. And then you're focused. And then you get on this rabbit trail of where you are. And it's just like, so what you need, I don't know if any of you guys watched the race for the Kentucky Derby last year. The guy had like a 1 out of 80 chance percentage that he was going to win. But what did the horses have? They have blinders on. And that's what you need to do. You need to put blinders on and you need to figure out what is my distraction. So I want you right now, I want you to take 1 minute and talk to the person next to you and say 5 things that are a distraction to you that you need to give up. So go ahead and do that real quick. 2 minutes. 3 things that are a distraction. So one of the things that we have people do in our company, and this is a game changer, so write this down. Every person that works for us, not the agents, they get to do whatever the heck they want. If they want to, they can, but we let them do whatever they want. And a lot of them participate, but some of them don't. But all of our employees and our admin staff and management, they put in 3 commitments and they put in 3 things that they're going to do, each time. So this is what it looks like. So they would say they have to be specific, measurable, and actionable. And I suggest you doing that as well. So get a partner, get a buddy and say, this is the 3 things I'm accomplishing this week. but it has to be, I want to do X by doing Y by this time. Like, I want to call 30 contacts this week by Thursday by time blocking 2 hours a day or something like that. It's gotta be specific. This program right here is a game changer for me. It's called Follow Up Then. And what I do is when I have a, email, you know how like your inbox gets so crazy and you want to follow up with something to make sure it's done? You can do something called, you forward it to 2 days at Follow Up Then or 4 days at Follow Up Then, and it pops right back to your inbox in 2 days so you can keep it clean. So having stuff like that, we use Open Phone. This is where the people in the Philippines can have their own phone line and you can see exactly what they do. It's a virtual phone line. I would never, with a capital N, have a business that used like a landline. If you're using a landline, get with the times, right? I want to just end with talking to you about leadership. And, you know, that's my passion. I love leading leaders. I love teaching leaders. And once in a while, I have to just make sure that I embrace really difficult things. And like we had a girl in our company and I really thought she had leadership skills. And I was like, I always test people like, you can do this and you can do, she's like, oh, no, I just don't feel like I can. I don't feel comfortable. Oh, no, I don't think I should do that. I don't know that yet. That tells me if you're not willing to embrace hard, then you're not the right leader. And the thing is, I listen to leadership podcasts every single day. I suggest you listen to 2 leadership podcasts every day. I have one called Real Life Leadership. I love Craig Groeschel leadership podcast. I love Andy Stanley leadership podcast. But I listen to one every single day. But that's not where you're going to grow. Where you're going to grow is by leading. Like all these people are like, I'm going to listen to the podcast. I'm going to listen to the podcast. You only grow by leading, and there's no growth without tension, and there's no growth without challenges. And listen, your muscles, if they're not torn down, they don't grow. I'm telling you right now, you will not grow. And unless you're willing to embrace something that drags you out of your comfort zone, just plan on staying exactly where you are. You need to do new things. And I want to give you an example. The reluctance to face pain is your greatest limitation. The greatest one. There's no growth without change. There's no change without loss. And there's no loss without pain. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're not hurting, let me tell you what my life looks like every stinking day. It's jab, 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 uppercut. And then what do? I fling my hair back and then I smile and I'm like, good morning, everyone. How are you today? That's what my day is almost every day. I have a couple days out of the week that there's not a jab, jab, punch and an uppercut, but almost every day it is. It's another jab. It's just when I'm like, oh, things are doing good. It's another jab. And I'm telling you, the best example that I can give is that, first of all, high level leaders carry a lot of pain and they don't talk about it, which is a problem. I talk about it all the time, but I want to give you an example. You know, Canzel is now in 20 states. Can you even imagine what growing a company in 20 states, the challenges I do on a regular basis? It's a living nightmare. It's a nightmare every single day. So let me give you an example. If you owned a gym, let's say you own a gym and you decide to own another gym and the guy steals all your people. He recruits them to somewhere else, stabs you in the back, takes money. Guess what? 9 out of 10 people will never own another gym again, right? So 9 out of 10 leaders, they got screwed on the first gym. They're like, I'm done. We'll just keep this little gym. And that's what happens to each one of us. And God's like, okay, I'm going to test you. Are you going to be willing? What's the difference between Gold's Gym that has 222 locations? It's the leader that is willing to handle. And this is what I figured out. It was like the biggest aha moment. I'm like, it's not the other leadership staff. It's not your team. It's not your location. It's not the money. It is a personal thing about the leader. How much pain can they handle? Because that gym example, I just made it so clear. I just told you it's probably more like 9.5% of the people are like, no, I'm not opening up another gym. So you need to have pain partners of people that you can dump your pain on. And they're not going to like they don't have to give you advice. They don't have to do it. You just need to be able to say, oh my gosh, this is horrible. Let me explain it. And the second thing that you need is really, I always say it's God's history in my life. Okay. And before I go to the next level, I promise you that I have gone through a really dark season. Whenever I'm in a really dark season, I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be good because God is about to do something really big in my life because things are really looking bad. And, I kind of just say, I know I'm hurting right now, but let me just accept this hurt. Let me learn from it. Let me figure out what I'm going to do. And let me just see what he's got on the other side. Cause I know he's got something great. If I go back and look, everything bad has turned out. Why am I in 20 states now? From all the nightmare things that I figured out, right? And everything that's happened. So I want to give you an example, and I'll give a couple people here in the front row a couple of glow sticks. But anytime, just pass these back. But what I realize is that God has to break you to make you glow. And I want you to watch. I just broke it once. I broke it twice. Broke it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. I mean, you literally, if you look at this thing, how many times that you have to keep breaking this thing in order to make it glow. And that's exactly what God does in your life. He just is like another break and another break. And if I don't break it all the way, see, I'm not able to glow the way I want to. I just have to keep breaking and keep breaking. And that's exactly what God does in our life over and over again. And so, I'll give you one last example. And that is the arrow. When I'm really kind of in a funk, I always say to myself, when life is dragging you down and pulling you backwards, watch, if I just took this and barely pulled it back, I'm not going very far. It's not going anywhere. The only way for God to really shoot this, I've got to go all the way back. And now it's going to catapult to where I want it to go. And so that is honestly the only thing that just gets me through. I have to like remind myself of that on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, because things really do get really, really hard. And so that is, I hope you got a lot out of it.